Hi everyone, welcome back to Java Full Stack Flow. Today let's understand how JWT authentication is implemented in Spring Boot. This is one of the most frequently asked Spring Boot interview questions, especially for experienced developers. Almost every modern Spring Boot application uses JWT to secure REST APIs because it provides stateless, secure and scalable authentication. Let's understand the complete flow step by step. Before we understanding the implementation, let's first understand why we need JWT. JWT provides stateless authentication, which means the server doesn't maintain session data for every logged in user because there is no session management on the server. So applications becomes more scalable and perform better. The second point is no session required. Unlike the traditional session based authentication, the server doesn't have to maintain session data, which reduces the memory usage. The third advantage is faster API requests. Since the server only validates the JWT instead of looking up session information, API requests can be processed more efficiently. Next, the fourth point is JWT is suitable for microservices. In a microservices architecture, multiple services can validate the same token without sharing session data, this making communication much simpler. Next, JWT provides secure token based authentication. The token is digitally signed using a secret key. If someone modifies the token, the signature becomes invalid and Spring Security rejects the request. Next, now let's understand the structure of a JWT. A JWT have three parts. The first part is the header, which contains the type and the signing algorithm such as HS256. The second part is the payload, which stores claims like the username, user role and token expiry time. Next, the third part is the signature, which generates using a secret key. The signature ensures that the token has not been modified. If anyone tampers with the token, validation fails. Next, how does JWT work? Now let's understand the authentication process. First, the client logs in using a username and password. These credentials are passed to the authentication manager, which validates them. If the credentials are correct, a JWT is generated. The generated JWT is then returned to the client. The client stores the JWT and sends it with every API request in the authorization header using the bearer token format. Whenever a new request arrives, the JWT filter intercepts it before it reaches to the controller. If the token is valid, access is granted and the request reaches to the controller. Next is Spring Security JWT flow. Let's see what happens internally inside Spring Security. First, an incoming request arrives with the authorization bearer token header format. The JWT filter, which extends once per request filter. It intercepts the request and extracts the JWT from the header. Next, Spring Security parses the token and extracts the claims such as the username and roles. Next, it then validates the signature, checks whether the token has expired and verifies all the claims. If the token is valid, UserDetailsService loads the user's details. After successful validation, Spring Security stores the authentication inside the SecurityContextHolder. Finally, the request proceeds to the controller. If the token is invalid or expired, Spring Security immediately returns a 401 unauthorized response. Next, now let's look at the important classes in Spring Security JWT. JwtUtil is responsible for generating, validating and parsing. JwtFilter, which extends once per request filter, intercepts every incoming request and extracts the JWT from the request header. Next, UserDetailsService loads user details from the database or any other data source. Next, Authentication Manager authenticates the username and password during login. Finally, SecurityContextHolder stores the authenticated user's details in the Spring Security context for the current request. Next is simple code examples. Now let's understand the commonly used methods. The generate token method creates a JWT after successful authentication. The extract username method retrieves the username from the JWT. Next, the validate token method checks whether the token is valid and whether it has expired. Finally, SecurityContextHolder.getContext.setAuthentication method stores the authenticated user in the security context, so the controller can identify the logged in user. Next is interview ready answer. If the interviewer asks how is JWT implemented in your project, you can say answer like this. JWT is a stateless authentication mechanism used in Spring Boot. After a successful login, Authentication Manager authenticates the user and a JWT is generated using secret key. The client stores this token and sends it in the authorization header as a bearer token with every request. JwtFilter intercepts this request, extracts the JWT, validates it, and loads the user details using UserDetailsService. If the token is valid, the authentication is stored in SecurityContextHolder and the request is allowed to reach the controller. This approach is stateless, scalable, secure, and ideal for REST APIs and microservices architecture. I hope you understand how JWT authentication is implemented in Spring Boot. If you found this video is helpful, please subscribe my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram for more real-time Java full stack interview questions. Thank you.